Yeah, hi, Shay.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
So you can open your case study and first start with your understanding on the requirements and then show me the solution approach and go with the design documents which you may have, and after that you can show me the coding and the functionalities which you have.
Okay, sir. This one is my case study of Node.js, where I have to develop a CRUD project of CRUD APIs of employment agreements, where I have to do 6 APIs with search, filter, sorting, and other things. So first, I have to create the agreement, one agreement. Then I have to retrieve the agreement, means by fetching the ID. I have to show the agreement, exact agreement from the agreement lists, and then the API to update the exact agreement and to delete any agreement. And the fifth one is to show all the agreements which will be added by the admin or something. And then the search agreement, that means we can search any agreement with the keys like employee name or the manager, like in under of any manager how many employees are there, so we can see the agreements of them. Okay. And we have to I did the validation part and error handling, and I use the not the SQL, I use MongoDB for this project. And logging, like uh, is it it will be showing, it will show the request, like what is the type of the request, is it post or get or put or delete, and is it success or not, and the HTTP request in the terminal. So, and the requirements are there, like I use Node.js and Express.js. I use MongoDB, and I did it with the file folder structure maintained in the professional level. And yes, I create a Swagger API docs, which in which we can try it out with all the APIs. uh, and the unit testing part, which is like I told you earlier that I have to R&D about that more bit more. And the bonus parts, yes, I did the JWT authentication with the registration and login, and with the uh, schema of user, admin schema, and the Docker, that means I containerize my application with the Docker. uh, and then the pagination, sorting, searching, all are there in my project. And I use .env file to store the MongoDB URL, and as well as the JWT secret token and a port. Okay, so I start with the introduction, and then I will told you the uh, basic setup, and then I will go through the code
So
and
in this
run them.
requirement, you don't have any question.
Yes, sir.
In this requirement, you have any question?
No, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I at first I created the folder with a meaningful name, like my name and the
Have you
company name.
done
And
database design for this?
yes, sir.
Yeah, first show me the database design and API design. Then we can go to the code. So you have created the schema directly in the data DB, or you have a
I
design and
create I create a project
you did not create a
with the
document for
name
the project.
Minecraft, in which I create a cluster 0, and in which I have the data. Like this is my collection where the employees agreements are there, and this is the users like who will able to log in. This is the decrypted password because I installed the bcrypt, and that's all. I will show you the API docs at first. Okay, so this is the API docs where this is the create agreement and get agreement by ID, update agreement API, and delete agreement search. And this is the like my localhost server and the registration and login. If I will go through these first 6 APIs, except this registration and login, it will not run because of the authentication. So it will, this is the XAccess token which is required. So if we want to execute, then it will show that XAccess token is required. That means we have to log in first, and then by putting the XAccess token, we can able to access all these private APIs. So, sir, can I show it here or go through the code?
Yeah, you can first you can show here and then you can run it.
Okay, sir. So I am now creating a, the ID is not required. It will be auto generated. Uh,
Give me 1 minute.
okay, sir.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. There, I input the name, email, and password, which will be required for the registration, and now I execute it.
So you are sending the password like this.
Yes, sir.
It will be visible to the user, right? Are you just storing the password like this?
No, sir. I decrypted this. Like the password will store in the database like this with the hash password. So the registration is successful, and now I am going through the login. Okay, so in this API talks, I show these schemas here, like which fields are there, which are required, ID will be auto generated, and the other fields, etc. And example of the object, like which way, how it will show. And this is the admin name, email, password, and the auto generated ID. Okay, so now the login. Uh, so the email is yes, and this one is. If I execute it, then I got this one, and this is the x-axis token which will be generated. So I have to copy this token of authentication to authenticate this all 6 APIs, and I put the uh, log login time as 12 hours, so it will be bit more. Now if I want to create a user, so if there is a date validation, that means if I put a wrong information, then
So you are creating a user, huh?
yes sir.
Why it is a start date and end date for user creation?
Sir, I thought that is it the timestamps?
Hmm?
Is it the started and ended are the timestamps
Timestamp for what?
for creating the agreement, the time of creation? Is it that
Time
one?
of creation is different thing than start date and end date.
Yes, sir.
What you understand by what is the meaning of start date and end date here?
So I thought that the uh, agreement of like started in this time and end at that time.
But when you are employed, you will not have an end date of the employee, right?
But then how can I put the end date?
Now you have to tell me what is your understanding of it.
So I thought that the agreement is like from this date to this date. So that's why I developed this like this.
Okay, go ahead.
And if someone wants to increase or decrease the end date, then they can update.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So then, what is the purpose of that? Can you please clear?
So start date and end date could be for different purposes, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
start date is the agreement start date.
Yes.
Okay, and then also for a agreement also you can have an end date. That
Yes.
this agreement is valid for 1 year.
Yes, sir.
After 1 year, then you have to renew the agreement.
Okay.
Okay? That is why you have the agreement, a start date and end date.
Okay, sir. So after creating it, uh, it will be created, and then if we want to see all the agreements, then we have to put the x-axis token, and if we execute it, then we can able to see the all the responses. And if we copy one of this id, like this is my name, and this is the product lead, and uh, this one, and if we put it in the x, if you want this exact one, then we have to try it out and go with the id as well as the x-axis token, which we will get from the login. So okay, so now we can get this one. This is my name and the details. And in the similar way with this one, we can also update any of this. Like if I want to update the same one, then the same id, and paste it here, and we can execute. Okay, so we have to take this data which will be updated and take it here. And if I want to do the name change or anything like salary and execute it, it will be successfully edited and the name is this and the salary will be updated or is updated. And similarly, if I want to delete the same one, then I have to try it out and put the ID. Oh, sorry. Okay, so data deleted successfully. Now if we want to run the get all data one more time,
Give me 1 minute.
okay, so,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, so I executed the all data, and now if we see and looking for the data which has the salary of 45,000 and the name Saif, then it will be not there because we deleted it. So now the search, if we search by anything like name
Now
Ali.
go to the code. That's fine. Now you can go to the code
Okay,
and show. Show me the folder structures and which libraries you have used, and then
yes, sir.
show me the
So this
example.
is the logging I told you about, that the type of the request and the HTTP request and the uh, status and then the time taken. Okay, so at first uh, I did this project by creating a file and then I opened it in the VS Code. Then I initialized it with the npm init in the terminal, and then I put the entry point as app.js, and then I created this file app.js. So it after npm init, I have these files like package log.json, package.json, and the node modules. Uh, and then for this,
What is package.log?
the package.log
Package log.
is the package.json has the dependencies we have, and package log.json will update the versions if we have a dependency with the version like 16.4.5. If it has another version a few days later, then the package log.json will update the latest version by updating the latest version and update it here. So this is the work for package log.json, and package.json will simply put the dependencies here.
When package.json is used and when log.json.
Uh, so like uh, package package.json has the dependencies, and package log.json is,
Both are same file, right?
yes, but it will take care of the versions, new versions, and update it time to time. That's it.
Lot more than that. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so then I created this app.js file and the app folder and routes folder. So for now, this is one. That's all, and then I will describe you about the Docker and test anything else. So in app, I create this config folder in which I create the db.js, which is a JavaScript file which has the connection of the MongoDB URL, which I created there in the MongoDB. And this Mongo URL, I stored it in the environment, like I installed this dependencies. Sorry, I installed these dependencies with npmi, and in which there is a .env extension, .env, which I installed, and I created this .env file, and this MongoDB URL I pasted from the MongoDB project which I created. So where I use this username and password created by the MongoDB, and this one is for the JW authentication. I will come back to it later. And now after this db.json, where I connected the database, then I created the controller and the router. We can able to do the controller part. That means the functionality of any of the APIs in the in this each and in this means the in the API section also, but it will be like for the professional way, maintaining the professional folder structure, I use the controller section where I put the logics in a class called API controller, where all the async functions are there for each and every APIs are included here, and I require this API controller here, and from this class I take all the async functions. And in the app.js file, I require all the needed things, and like configure.env, and require each and everything I installed which will be used in the project, and I place in the port here, and I name the port like 2468. Okay, and I used the this one, say, because of the like extension of the URL, like first this is the localhost, then /API, and the URLs are there after that. So I go through the controller and logics. Can I?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so at first I have the requirement of create agreement, then retrieve, update, delete, list, and search. Okay, so first these things. So first we have to create a model where the schema was there, in which the fields of the model we have to input which are in the requirement. Okay, like I saw the request, where this request, and I saw that these are the fields, and this is another field, and these are the subfields. So I input that way in the model, and introduce their types, and it write it as required, and trim them, because if someone some user put space in front or at the end, then it will trim the spaces. And then role start date, it is a date type, and the salary will be number type. Okay, so I validate the number here, salary here, because the salary should not be negative. So that's why if the value of the salary input by the user, then it should not be less than 0. And if it is less than 0, then it will throw an error like salary should not be negative. That's all. And the terms are in the like form of array. So I did the type as array of strings, and it is required, and the other details in which department as string and also the manager in string. So this is, and I take a employee model in which I put this as the my database name, means in the project of my project, this mind project, this is the employee, and in which I will able to put the data given by the users or admins. Like I thought that it is a concept that admins are able to like put the agreements, right, sir? Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is the model, and now this is the fields of model, and I go to the create agreement where I took all the fields of agreement and put them in the request.body. Okay, so now I validate the format of the date.
So are
Like,
you not using any configuration files for the database connections, AWS connections and all?
yes sir, this is this one.
This was the part.
Yes, I told you only. Yeah, this is the database connection, and after running the project with empty folders with the database and app.js, it will show that the database is like this message, database connected successfully and the port is running. So after that I develop the project with the create agreement first. So store all the fields in the request.body, then I validate the start date by installing the moment, and it will be in the format of this, and if the format is not matched with this, then the error message will show like that. And also for the end date, the same thing. And there is a requirement that the and it is obvious logic that the start date always precedes the end date. That means start date will come before the end date. So I put this logic of if statement that the end date should not be less than start date. If it is less than or equal to the start date, then the status will be 500 and the message will shows that the input of date, that means end date, which will come after the start date, not before the start date. So that's all. And now we come back to the create agreement process, which I have declared a employee data in which we use new. That means in the promise, this is the promise code, and new employee model means I have to put a new employee details in our employee model. That means our database user. So all the fields are there I mentioned is stored in the employee data with the values input by the admin, the admin who logged in and input the data are stored there with the variables, with the fields. And then I save this employee data as e-data with the method of .save, and then if the success message is 200, then the success is true, and it shows the message and the data as the e-data. That means it will show the whole agreement with these fields and its values, and as well as a auto-generated ID. And also I use in the model as timestamp, so it will also show the created time and updated time also. So this is the agreement, create agreement, and the API for this is this one, the post request, and the mentioned endpoint, which in the case study is this. And I input this auth check, which is for authentication, but for the first development time I input this the create agreement async function from the class API controller. In the same process, I did all of this. Like I will describe you these functions. Then the retrieve agreement, where in the retrieve, yes sir.
Yes. So I think this is okay.